Perfect. Good evening, everyone. The recording is in progress. My name is Tanya Prakash. Thank you for joining in for the session. We have 5 students from Sriram College of Commerce, the GBO batch, who have recently completed a live project with us on OCR and Python. They will be demonstrating how they have done the entire project through and through. So I'll hand it over to them. I think Kaustubh, Janvi, Prachi, Abhay, you can take it forward.
Sure, sir. I'll be sharing the presentation. Prachi, go ahead.
Thank you, Kaustubh. Welcome everyone to today's webinar on OCR to basic Excel conversion. We are delighted to share the insights gained from our recent live project where we applied OCR technology to convert scanned invoices into editable Excel sheets. Can you please move to the next slide? Now, what is OCR exactly? OCR, or optical character recognition, is a sophisticated tool that allows you to convert various types of invoices, whether scanned paper copies, PDF files, or images captured by digital devices, into editable and searchable data. During this webinar, we will demonstrate how OCR was used in our project to automate data extraction from invoices, helping streamline accounting processes, reduce manual data entry efforts, and improve overall efficiency. We will also share the tools we utilized, the challenges we encountered, and how you can implement similar techniques in your own work to enhance productivity. Let's begin and explore how OCR technology can transform invoice handling.
Thank you, Prachi. So now we'll talk about the use cases across business functions and industries. So majorly we have these 5 areas. So first of all, we have banking and finance, automated data extraction from checks, invoices, and contracts, streamlining KYC processes by capturing data from identity documents. Second is healthcare, digitizing medical records and prescriptions, speeding up patient check-ins and billing by automating insurance forms. Third is retail and e-commerce, managing supply chain documentation, extracting data from invoices, receipts, and product labels for quick updates to inventory and pricing. Fourth one is legal, digitizing legal documents for quicker data access and analysis, efficient management of contracts and legal forms. The last one is education, converting historical records and study material into digital, searchable formats, automating grading processes by scanning handwritten tests. Next, please. So now, OCR in license plate recognition. License plate recognition is a widely used application of OCR technology in law enforcement, transportation, and parking management. So we'll talk about how it works. So first, image capture. Cameras are placed at a strategic points, example, toll booths, parking entrances, or highways, to capture images or videos of passing vehicles. Second is OCR processing. OCR algorithms identify and extract characters from license plates in real time. They recognize text patterns, detect the number and letter sequences, and convert them into digital text. Last, data cross-referencing. The extracted data is cross-checked against a database, example, stolen vehicle databases, registered users to verify vehicle information or identify any red flags. So the major applications are traffic law enforcement, parking management, toll collection, and stolen vehicle detection.
So on to the project overview. The project that we had was to use these kind of tools to form a Excel datasheet later on, so that we have the data directly from the image itself. So what was the project goal? The project focuses on processing invoices to convert key text data into a usable format. That's exactly what I said before. You have to just take data from an image that we have, usually a bill that will be explained later on in the PPT itself, and we have to put it in a database kind of thing. So it becomes very streamlined. And what were the main tasks involved with it? The first was OCR implementation. In this, we used the Python site SRCC library to perform the OCR on images of invoices. Well, the second task that we had was data extraction, in which we identified and extracted specific data points such as invoice date, client name, and total amount billed. And the last, but not the least, was the Excel conversion, where we put the data into a structured and exact information into an Excel file with clear columns for date, name, and amount using the Pandas library. Next slide, please. So, what were the things that we utilized in this? First, we had an introduction to Python programming. This project provides an hands-on experience with Python and focus on essential libraries, just as I said before, Tesseract for OCR, Pandas for data handling, and many more. In this, the participants were able to learn basic Python syntax and were able to develop skills in data extraction and manipulation. We were able to develop a basic OCR system and implement it using the same library. The OCR system reads and converts text from standardized messages using making it usable for data processing. And the third thing was to extract key invoice information, in which there were three main things: date, name, and amount. And the fourth was structure and export data to Excel, in which we organize the extracted information into a structured format using Python's Pandas library. Next slide, please. So, what was the type of document that we used? It was Flipkart invoices, as you can see in the image, and in which what data points you were able to extract. It was date, name, and amount, and the tools used, as you can see, was Tesseract, Pandas, and Python. On to Yash.
So Yash is facing some network issues. Abhay, you can proceed with this slide.
No issues, Kaustav. So, what were the tools that were used? There were 5 tools that were used. The first being the obviously Tesseract OCR, the second being Pillow, third being OpenCV, fourth being Panda, and the fifth was the development environment. In Tesseract OCR, as I said before, it is a powerful open source OCR tool that is used to recognize and extract text from images. It was integrated into Python using the PyTesseract library, allowing automation of text extraction from invoice images. The second, Pillow, it is also a library, a Python imaging library used for image manipulation and pre-processing. It assists in loading, modifying, and saving images to prepare them for OCR processing. The third was OpenCV, a library for advanced image processing and manipulation. As you must have noticed, these three are the libraries that we use. The fourth one also that is coming, the Pandas, is also a library, but it is a data manipulation library. It is used to structure and manage extracted data. What it does is it converts raw text data into a structured table format and exports it into an Excel file, which is the main name of the project. Last and not the least was Google Colab, in which you were able to have a platform where you were able to write, test, and run Python code with built-in support for PyTesseract and Pandas. It enabled us an easy integration of all libraries and simplified the testing and sharing of the project code. Next slide, Kaustubh. This was the workflow that we observed. It was the first input image processing, OCR processing, text screening and data extraction, data structuring, and export to Excel. Next.
So now, as we all know that in today's era, we have ChatGPT and AI. So we used AI for code generation because OCR is something that code is already available. What we need to do is just customize that code as per our need. So basically, in our code generation, the caveat was regarding the standardization, because there are different kind of invoices. You need to extract the three specific thing, as Abhay mentioned, are the customer name, date, and the amount. For that, uh, overall in the different invoices, we were facing the format issue. Like in Amazon bill, there were different format. In Flipkart bill, there was different format. So we generated code for Flipkart bills, and these are the prompt that are written, as Abhay already mentioned the tools. So we were knowing what are the tools, and then we customize the prompt regarding the same as per our need. And this is the prompt that I'll be showing on the chat GPT, so that you can get to know how the code was generated and how it was played on Google Colab. So just give me So coming to the chat GPT, now I'll be pasting the first code, the first prompt. So this prompt is regarding the data extraction. When an invoice would be uploaded, this would extract the data, whatever it is. So be it any kind of invoice, it would extract the data. And now we'll be getting the code. So as you can see, the AI has presented this code. Now this code is the first part of our project, which would extract the data from the invoice. And I'll be playing the code on Google Colab so that you would get to know that how it works. So this is Google Colab where we played our code, and the first part of the code is code for extracting data from image. As you can see, this is the code. Now let me play the code. As you can see, the output is there. Now it will give an option to upload the invoice. Now this has given us option to choose the file. So we will be uploading an invoice, and here we go. Desktop, bill to Flipkart bill. So as you can see, the bill was uploaded. Now it would extract the data from the invoice. And here we go. So it has extracted whatever it was there. The address is there, and you can see the name is there, the date is there. Now from this we need to extract three important things, like what was the date of the when the item was ordered, then the name of the person, and the amount, which is 1199. So for this we would move on to the second part of the prompt, where we would be getting to know where we will be getting those three specific things. So here we go, and let me share the chat. So now we are back to the chat GPT. I'll be
Costa,
pasting the prompt again.
hi.
Yes, sir.
Just to come back, if you can come to the prompt that you had written earlier, and you can tell
Sure, sir.
people how you structured the prompt, as in why you've already mentioned the libraries, why have you mentioned Google Colab. Can you just emphasize on how you've structured the prompt, so that will also give the audience an understanding of that the
Sure,
code is
sir.
generated, but how the prompt has to be structured when creating any code.
So this was the prompt that I entered, and this is regarding, as Abhay mentioned, that the libraries that we would be using were 5 libraries, but in the first part there are 3 libraries that would be used. First is PyTesseract, which would extract data, then Pillow and OpenCV. So these 3 libraries are which for image manipulation basically. So they would be, and PyTesseract is the main library that would be extracting the data, and these two would manipulate the data. For basically whatever data would be there, they would handle much better, and PyTesseract would extract the final data. So we came to this prompt as we got to know that what should be there and what are the important things. Like firstly, these libraries would be there, and then we will have to import them, and then we will have to upload the invoice as well. So this is the code that we got. So this is how we drop down to the final version of the prompt. Is that okay, sir?
Also to mention, Kostu, can you go back to the prompt, please?
Yes.
Also to mention, the prompt that Kostu has written is very is very organized. As you can see, he has wrote install necessary libraries. He has mentioned all the three libraries. It has also mentioned import relevant libraries, in which he has also mentioned the fourth thing. So in prompt, by putting prompt, it is necessary that you have to put everything in a stepwise manner with all the details that you require specifically for the project or for the code that you require, as Kaustubh has put in the prompt itself. So the chat GPT is able to provide an output that suits to your needs. Yeah, back to you, Kaustubh.
Yeah, just to add to what Kaustav and Abhay have shared, they have mentioned the libraries because before they started the project, they went through like a basic course, so they know what libraries are being used. If you're an introductory user, you would not know the names of libraries and all. So your prompt obviously would not have a mention of those libraries. So your prompt would be a bit generic, as in whatever the generic code is available to extract data from an image, right? So before you rely on code from GPT, having a foundational understanding of Python or whatever other language you're working is also essential. By default, ChatGPT will always give you output in Python itself, unless you specify some other language. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll be moving to the second part of the prompt, that is regarding extract those three things. So the prompt, as you can see, has all the necessary things like what is the name of the client, date of purchase, and total amount. And as I mentioned, that this prompt is particularly for the Flipkart invoices. So as the Flipkart invoice has those essential things where ship to, after ship to, only the name of the person comes. So after, it has mentioned that after ship to, extract the purchase date and invoice date would be extracted, then order date. So all these three things would be there. So that's why we have chosen this prompt and drop down to this one, because it clearly states what is required and what is to be extracted. So I'll be uh, playing this,
Yeah.
and then we will get the code.
Also, right now they're getting the result in the first prompt itself because this prompt is coming out of after multiple iterations. So I'm pretty sure all five of them have sat through multiple prompts, tried multiple different variations, and only then you get like a final prompt that they're able to present in the session, right? So anytime you're working with GPT, it is important to remember that you will not get the output in the first prompt. Iterations are always going to happen. Also, Costa, before you run the next block of code, can you just show the invoice to everyone? Open the image of the invoice so people are able
Sure,
to
sir.
better relate as to what we are trying to extract from the image.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Approving of what Tala sir said, we actually did a lot of prompt research, I would say, in order to come to that final product. So yeah, exactly what Tala sir said, that a lot of research was done and a lot of trial prompts were done in order to arrive at as that final prompt as well. The time being, cost will present the bill. Here is it.
So this is the invoice of Flipkart. As you can see, the name comes after ship to or bill to, and then after order date, here comes the main date, and then amount at the end, grand total, and then amount. So this is the pattern the code recognizes. The prompt that I had mentioned also says the same, that after grand total, there would be an amount that should be mentioned. Bill to, the person name would be there, so the client name to be mentioned, and after order date, the date would be there, so that is to be extracted. So these three things would be extracted from the code. Am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear, Kaustubh.
So let's move to the next part. Here we go. So this is the code that we got. As you can see, the prompt had all the necessary things. Ship to, extract the date, and then order date line would have extract the total amount after grand total. So as you can see, the prompt has everything, and then the code is there. Now we would be running the second part of the code. Here we go. Now, as you can see, earlier we had got this, that's something that extracted from the invoice. Now we need structured things. So we would play the second part, which extract date, name, and amount. And it mentions Flipkart. And as you can see, the output is there. Client name is Cost of Verma. Date of purchase is 11/10/2022, and total amount is to be paid is 1199. Now we need this data in an Excel sheet. Basically, that would help us when we would be getting multiple clients and the date and the amount, then we would be able to manipulate on the data on the final Excel sheet. So the third part would be there, which says pandas data frame on with columns, date, name, and amount. So I'll be going for the third prompt. Here we go. So now it says write a Python code to create a pandas data frame. Now pandas data frame that we got to know, as sir mentioned regarding the foundation classes. So pandas data frame is something that extracts the data in the Excel sheet, and this library would give us that final version of the Excel sheet that we want, and it would have client name, date of purchase, and total amount is would be paid, and create a data frame with column name. These would be the column, and then save data frame in an Excel file, and Google Colab will give this. So this is the code. Now the third part of code is there. So this is the code. Now let me play the third part of the code. Here we go. So as you can see, this is the pandas data frame. Now we played the code, and as you can see, we got this, and by default an Excel sheet was downloaded. Now I know you can't see the Excel sheet because I didn't share the entire screen, so I'll do that. So you can see the entire sheet. Sorry, let me go to the code. I believe. Here we go. So I'll be playing the third part, and as you can see, now you can see there the invoice, the Excel sheet was downloaded. So this was the code. Now let me go back to the presentation.
You can show the Excel also once.
Sure, sir.
Just open the Excel. Whatever they've done for one invoice can be done for a bunch of other invoices as well. Right now, they've done it for one specific invoice. I can have this run across 100 invoices as well. Obviously, there's slight manipulation to the code in terms of the files that it will accept. Right now, they uploaded one PNG. I can upload a zipped folder or a folder in Google Colab with 100 images as well, and it would do the same extraction for me.
So this is the Excel sheet that we got. Name, column name, date of purchase, and amount to be paid. And these are the three things that we got structured in the Excel.
Perfect. And if you go back to the, you can continue just a second. Like Janvi had earlier mentioned the use cases. So across different industries, image application of OCR have always been present. Post ChatGPT, the need is not there as much, right? But still, OCR still has a prevalent role in the area of image extraction. This was a invoice which was fairly structured, right? You can have the same thing replicated on a scanned document as well. That is where OCR is also very useful, because in a scanned document, physically you cannot select the data if it is a scanned image. So in that case, also OCR is a very useful tool to work with. Yeah, please go ahead, Kaustav. Kaustav, you're on mute. Right? You'll have to unmute once.
Okay. So use of AI, as you can see, uh, it simplifies, like automates the repetitive tasks. So this was the task, and we had to customize it as per our need, but something that it had given. More than that, the foundational requirement regarding the Python knowledge about the libraries and something that made our job easy. So we dropped down to these three prompts which were required. Now moving on to the next slide, as you can see, this was the code. And in the first iteration, we got this, where we extracted all the information that was in the invoice. So this is pretty, which would be done for every invoice, like whatever you are entering, it would simply extract the data. But here comes the main part where you need to manipulate it as per your, customize it as per your needs. Finally, to get the data cleaned, and we'll drop down to these three things. For different kind of bills, it might happen that you need to write different things that would clean. For, as I mentioned, that Amazon bill was a bit complex. For that, you need different data that would be cleaned. And then the final version is this, where the code was this, and then we got the Excel sheet. So this is from our side. Thank you. Back to Talha sir.
Great. I think that was a great presentation. Obviously, they were able to do it very seamlessly over here because they've tried and tested multiple times. Open to any questions that any of the participants have in terms of how they learned Python or how they, interacted with ChatGPT to generate the specific pieces of code. So open to any questions from the audience. Great. No questions. I would just request any one of you to elaborate that I don't think you had earlier worked with Python. So how you went about learning Python and also how you spent time on GPT, right? So did you watch a YouTube video in terms of writing prompts or was it just practice? Can you just share your experiences regarding that? And also Mohit has a question, so you can answer that as well. So you can take up Mohit's question first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mohit's question is, your image was very clean. Can it be done with a camera clicked image? Yes, Mohit, it can be done, but many a times it happens that camera clicked image and maybe something was written with pen. So that clarity doesn't come, and OCR is something, this is not something like we are like, we might be lacking. OCR as a technology is facing problems with written things because data extraction over different kind of different languages, be it Hindi or something else, data extraction is a caveat there. But when something is typed, be it it's when something is typed, then if it is a clicked image, then also it works. So extraction is not an issue there. I think I answered your question. Thank you. Now moving on to the Talhasa's question, like how did we go with the Python? So firstly, we watched few of the videos regarding the basic things like what is there in Python, what we would be needing for our project, and then we used AI only for the same. Like what if we are extracting something from OCR, what are the libraries that would be used, and what are the basic things that we should know if we have worked in something like this. As we mentioned, as Abhay had already mentioned the tools. So those were the tools that we went through, and what are they, what is the role that they are going to play. And then we drop down to the prompts. Second part of the prompt was a bit tricky where we had to customize it for the Flipkart. We were trying to do that for different kind of bills, but ultimately Flipkart was something that was our choice. So we went by that, and it can be done for different bills as well. One thing, it can also be done like 5 6 bills are there, invoices are there, and then we have customized them accordingly, like Misho's invoices there, so we got those three things for Misho's invoice, be it Amazon's invoice, so we get those but that would uh, come in parts where if this kind of bill is there and then play this, so that would go with if else kind of situation in the second part. And with the we went by this only. I think that's how we learned from GPT and YouTube. These were the two sources that we learned through, that we learned from.
Also, I would like to add, Leander will take a question. Just give me a second. Also, I would like to add that Initially, we were also very confused as to what to do and what not to do, because for us it was a very brand new thing. But we also had the foundational course from Talasar itself, which gave us basic ideas about the libraries, such as the PyTesseract and all. But initially, we were also very confused. So it is a very hit and trial kind of thing, because we have to also, because initially when we started right first too, it was very difficult because we were not able to play it on the computer itself. So we had to have a discussion on that, so where we should use it. Finally, we came up with Google Colab. That's a very excellent platform for doing these kind of things. So it was a lot of hit and trial as well, and a lot of research as well in coming to the final prompts as well. So yeah, adding to that and coming to Leander's question, just let me reiterate what he said. What is asked is, can I upload image on Chat GPT and extract data directly? Kaustubh, you want to answer that or should I?
I would do that. So yes, you can extract data there. But the thing is, as Talha sir mentioned, when we are having a zip folder where we would be having multiple invoices, that might not work in ChatGPT, and that's why ChatGPT 2 is generating code somewhere, because this is something required when you are having multiple invoices. And when you are having multiple invoices, that customization won't happen. Ultimately, you will have to drop down to one code which would be extracting data. Now, simply if you are going to ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT to extract client name, client name, client date of the order, and the amount, total amount. So you will face problem there. Ultimately, you will find that it is not giving the clear, those three clear things. I had done that. I tried that, and I didn't find. I like my address and my name. Both the things were coming together when I tried and getting those three things out. So this is the caveat, and ultimately that's why the code is required. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, just to add to Kaustubh, when you work with an image directly on GPT, you can also upload zip folders. So that is not a problem with GPT uploading multiple images or uploading a folder. The issue happens, think of it from an organization perspective, that an organization would not want to upload any of their publicly available internal information on a platform like GPT if they don't have the paid subscription, right? And for an organization, taking a paid subscription for a large number of employees is a big decision. But having an internal code that does it for you, because Google Colab and Python run internally within your local system, so your data is also secure. That is one reason why I would want to do it using code and not do it directly on GPT. The other is, like Kaustubh mentioned, when he uploaded his image, his address and name was coming together, right? Now, again, that would, you would have to write your prompts in a very structured manner so that it is able to identify exactly what you want, right? And that would take multiple variations. So if your data or your values that you want to extract are closely knit and there is no clear delimiter or separator, then it becomes a little challenging for GPT as well. And if you don't, if you're not able to describe it properly as to what you want as the output. Great. Any other questions from the audience? Happy to answer them. Can we use VBA also for extracting? There's VBA for OCR. I'll have to check. I'm not very sure. Just give me a second. Generally, I would not use VBA because Python has libraries specifically for this. So optical character recognition has been done using Python for a very long time because it uses AI and ML models. So generally for this kind of a task, I would not use VBA. So I would tend to go with Python as well. Even if VBA is able to do it, I'm not sure if it is, but even if VBA can do it, I would still go to Python because I would still rely on Python because that is a much efficient technology in terms of doing the same process for me, right? So a lot of times you will have to take a decision as to what technology or tech stack you want to work with, right? So no, there is no internal, no, VBA can't do OCR. So there's no default functionality within VBA for doing OCR, right? There are a few methods, but again, very complex. Doing it on Python, fairly straightforward. Great. Anyone else? Any other questions? Perfect. I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. Uh, I hope all of you from the audience were able to get a good sense of what these guys have done. We'll be uploading the recording on YouTube as well. And I think the Google Colab link can be made public, so we can share that in the description of the link as well, of the YouTube description. So you guys can go and access that as well, right? I think the prompts and all can also be put as comments. You can put the Kaustubh, you can put the prompts as comments in each of the blocks at the very initial beginning, so that people
Sure,
can
sir.
try it out for themselves as well, right? Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining in. Great job, guys. And I think we would be moving towards the end of the webinar. I will just stop my recording. One last thing, if anyone has any questions, happy to answer. Else, we'll be concluding the webinar now. Great. No questions. Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thank you, audience.
Thank you, audience. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.